conference will now be recorded.
Gentlemen, we'll have a flag salute. Start the meeting. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Get to the Marion County Commission meeting.
Can everyone double check, make sure your mics are on? I think I got them all done.
Pointed at you, I guess.
Yeah, that would be good.
That would be good.
Thank you.
They can't hear me anyway. Yeah, that's all. Mine's never on.
He says he's not on.
It's never on.
This sent out this morning.
I think you're on.
That time.
It's
Just
always
talk
been like
loud.
that.
If not, I'll share my 3 units. Okay. Public comments first. We'll see if there's any public comments online.
Oh, hold on. I'm not saying the microphone's not working.
Not updating what's grabbing the packet from this week.
It was working. Before we started, I tested it and it was working, so.
Technology is wonderful.
Yeah, some days.
It works. That's good.
Worked just fine
I can
earlier.
I can hear yours.
Yeah, something with this plug right here. We're supposed to be getting a new one, but we haven't received it yet.
Back ordered.
Still in the Pacific, yes.
On the next boat.
Health executive.
I'll switch to the webcam microphone. It works.
Okay.
Everybody just talk loud into your mics and it'll pick up the room speaker. And we'll do the best we can.
Okay. So move ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, we're looking for public comments online. Do we have anything?
We don't.
Okay. So we'll move on. Agenda approval. Does anybody have anything they'd like to add or change to the approval of the agenda? And one thing, we'll have a discussion. You give us an email about rules and things, Brad. When will we discuss that? I mean, are you going to do today?
We certainly can. I mean, I distributed that when we had the work session.
Right.
If you're prepared to, if you prefer to wait, that's fine as well. I have it with me, so.
Okay. I'd like to put that on somewhere. I don't know whether that's called Brad time today or.
Can.
Okay.
I kind of think I had it under admin.
Admin? Okay.
Mhm.
Or under admin.
Okay.
But if we're going to discuss it, then there are some things on there that you may want to add or discuss. So if you want to put it at the end, that would be fine.
Okay. What was you planning on doing?
Well, I just had it under admin, so if you want more lengthy, you may,
Okay.
you can put it wherever you'd like.
What would you like?
Let's put it at the end so we can keep things moving along all the time.
Okay.
Please.
Gotta watch that fella down there because he likes things rolling, so.
Yeah, he likes to drag things out.
Yeah.
So soon not be here for another hour.
And
Yeah.
Chairman, if there's time, there's a short executive session for personnel performance.
Okay.
That needs to,
At the end?
yeah, at the end, it's
Okay.
fine, about 5 minutes or less would be
Personnel.
fine.
Okay. Performance, exec session.
And I think there might be an executive session for potential litigation.
Yes, there will be.
Okay,
Right there
that's
with it.
2. 1 and 2. Exec session for litigation. Well, my day just keeps messed up.
Love the exec session pieces.
Okay, gonna add those 2 down under after we talked about the health department executive session. And then go to personnel executive session and then executive session for litigation. And then maybe some open conversation with Brad about the rules for public meeting stuff that we have. Anything else? Okay. With that, make a motion to approve the agenda with that. Anybody second?
Second.
Second, Kent. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Administrative business, Tina, go right ahead.
Okay. In your packet, you have department revenue reports.
Anybody have anything on the revenue that needs to be looked at? I didn't catch it. Last one, but I didn't realize too hard. Don't hear nothing, so move
Okay.
on, Tina.
We do have a couple of early checks today. And I think you've got the book over there.
Yeah.
One of them is for Colfax Fire for their new building
Yeah.
project. The other two checks are, we had issued a check on Payday that actually needs to be split into two separate vendors. We have a vendor that like charges two different ways, and so that's what that is for.
Okay, so there's a $15 one for the courthouse,
Mhm.
and then we have a park one, a $350, $251, is that one? you
Yes,
talked
so
about?
the two of those were initially combined to one
Okay.
vendor, and so we
That's
had to
what it is.
void that and then now separate them out, so.
Okay, then the final one is what you talked about, that's for the fire station up in Ramona, I believe,
Yes.
and it's 25,000, so, let's see, the total is,
It's 25,367.51.
okay, make a motion, oh, you got it? I'll make the motion to approve those checks, is that your second, Joe, second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 5-0. Is there a cover sheet for those three?
Yes. That would be it, wouldn't it? Isn't that it?
Oh, this one.
Oh, is it it'd be in the next tab, because we're in November,
Oh.
so go forward.
That's why it went by so quick.
There you go.
That's right. That's not right. There we go. There it is. I don't want to spend that same amount again this month. Maybe.
That's what we did on Payday.
Yeah.
That also included all the quarterly allocations too.
Okay.
Is that Colfax Fire now in a position to do a lease purchase?
Yes, we did the publication for the protest period, and so I'd have to double check all the dates on all that, but we have been going through all the steps to get that done. And they did award a bid to one of the local banks.
So they're borrowing for a building, is what you're telling me, Kim?
Yeah, they're doing a lease purchase, leased, that's,
For a portion of it.
Portion of it? Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. I haven't been there since, I saw the stem walls before, but I haven't seen the floor or anything like that yet. I don't know, it's gonna be a pretty good sized building. Okay, Tina, keep her rolling. Dave's worrying.
In your packet, we gave you potential payday and holiday schedules for 2022, and Sherry included some other information. In there, you have the district court approved holidays and our employee manual talking about holidays. We don't have to approve this today, but just wanted you to be able to consider that, and we need to be approving it in the next little bit, next few weeks.
Approving anything different? I'd move to approve the 2022 payday schedule and the closing dates for 2022 Marion County Courthouse.
I would accept that, except I had a question down
Oh,
here,
sorry.
and you was rolling, so I didn't interrupt you, but go ahead and ask your question.
Anything different from years previous?
Honestly, I haven't looked at it, I haven't had time.
Okay.
So,
It didn't appear to me, but I just
let me find it, and I think there was maybe some questions in there.
I just saw looking through it, it matches up with court, district court.
Oh, okay.
in my set, I think she may have questions, so just one second.
What did we add last year? Did we add?
You added the Columbus Day, which the court has always had, but the county employees did not.
Right.
There is a new federal holiday that was added, which is the Juneteenth holiday,
Last
which
week.
I don't believe that's on here.
No,
It's not all.
no,
Some notes, was
that's
that
last
on?
couple of weeks.
Okay, so she put some notes on here. So if the New Year's payday is on the 31st, oh, if you put the holiday on the 31st, payday would have to be on the 30th.
Because that would go into next year's budget for New Year's, is that why?
That's New Year's Eve. The 30th would be New Year's Eve, basically.
No,
Right.
yeah, so we generally get, it's because it falls on a Friday. And so generally for New Year's, New Year's, oh my goodness. I'm so sorry.
The New Year's Eve
So
would be
the holiday generally is January 1st, okay? But it falls on a Sunday? No, it falls on a Saturday. This is
Saturday.
next year.
Right, okay.
It falls on a Saturday, so generally if the holiday falls on a Saturday, we do the holiday on the Friday, which means we would have the holiday on December 31st. And if we do that, we would have to have the payday meeting on the 30th. So that's what that note means. And then this is she just put in here that this is the same schedule as the judicial district, except they only give December 26th for Christmas. We have 2 days for Christmas, and since Christmas is on the weekend, that would fall on the 23rd and the 26th.
Right. And then the same thing following December, that payday would have to be on the 29th. Because the 30th you'd be off.
Right, but it would probably fall on January 2nd would be our holiday, because it's not for New Year's Eve, it's for, and we would have our payday probably on the 30th in 2022.
So, why do you get 2 days for Christmas?
We always have gotten 2 days for Christmas.
Okay.
That's just what's in our manual, so it's been like that,
It's consistent with policy.
Yes.
yeah.
Pretty
So
standard.
those were the notes, I'm sorry, I hadn't had a chance to really
Okay.
deeply review this, so.
With what you've heard, is there any change of mind on the schedule in here? Then we'd have the payday on the 30th. Is that okay? Tina, what does that do to you? I mean, does it do anything?
No,
Okay.
it doesn't matter. We're always a little short on time processing at the end of the year anyway, and whenever we have holidays, just because.
Okay, so I would accept a motion from somebody for the 2022 payday and, or from Dave, and the closing dates for holidays. Is that what your motion was, Dave?
Yes.
Okay, Dave Mueller has the motion for that. Do I hear a second?
Good, second.
I did. Okay. I'll second it. All those in favor say aye.
Okay, and then I think
Sorry.
what she was, referring to is since if you set the, sorry. If we're closing on the 31st of this year, we would have to make sure that you do an approval to hold the payday on the 30th. If that's different from our posted schedule, I'm gonna have to look at that and see, because she didn't include that. So, I'll get that for next time.
Okay.
If we need some further action.
Yeah, let's cool it on that and move it
Okay.
on to the next one. That way but just give us that motion for if
You
we have to
betcha.
do that.
I will do that. I'll check into it. Sorry, but that was a little awkward.
It's all right.
Okay, next thing I have is a pay application for approval. This is pay application number 4, and this is on the heated dock. And the amount is $98,010.
Has anybody witnessed the dock, seen what's happening?
Just pictures.
I've been out there.
It's all enclosed,
Yeah,
no windows.
no windows, right, but it looks good. Looks good.
Went to electricity on Saturday.
Didn't go back out there.
Yeah, I haven't
Okay, with that being said, do I hear a motion for the $98,010 for payment?
either. Also move.
Dave Crowfoot made the motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Dave Mueller. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 5-0.
So are we gonna get that finished under budget?
That remains to be seen. Would you sign
Yeah,
that
we're
X,
happy.
please? Thank you.
Well, it's gonna be hard, but we added the extra for the eaves.
Yeah.
Next thing in your packet was pay application number 4 for the EMS building. And the amount of that is $44,437.46.
3746.
I'll make
Yeah.
a motion to approve.
Okay, I have a motion by Kent. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Dave Mueller. Any conversation? Hear none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 5-0.
It'd be nice if we could get some supplies.
Got an installation short today?
The 9th, yeah, supposed to be tomorrow, I think.
Oh, tomorrow.
That's the one.
Today's Wednesday.
And the only other thing that I had under the admin initially was that public forum policy, and if we're gonna put that at the end, then I don't have anything else right now.
Yeah, I read through it, and I think there's some discussion needs to happen, so today we have an item on there that it's not telling us what the item is, and I believe we all, the public, I've had 2 calls on it, and I think the public needs to know what's coming up on our agenda, so just a citizen concern. So that was one of the things that I wanted to talk about. So we'll move on from the agenda and the administrative business. We'll get into the, is Josh going to be online?
No, he's here.
Oh, he's here. Okay, Josh? We can transfer. Josh, glad to see you. We haven't seen you for a while.
It's been a while.
Yeah, so good thing. What do you have for us today?
On the week, noxious weed, we have our district weed meeting coming up, and I'm hosting it. I just want to do a meal for them, chili and cinnamon rolls. I just want to make sure that was.
Yeah. Any good problems, commission?
How big a crowd you gonna have?
There's usually less than 10 people.
Oh, okay.
So, not very many.
Maybe we can handle that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how do you want to pay for it? Do you have some money in your budget? If not, well,
I've got money in the budget
Okay.
for that, so
Okay.
I looked at that today. So.
Okay. All righty, nobody said no, so do it.
Okay.
And make sure you show them good time.
Fine.
When is it?
It is Wednesday at 10 o'clock.
Couple days.
Yeah, I was gonna do this last week, but you did have a commission meeting last week. Onto the transfer station, the white truck, it needs 8 new tires on it. I did get a bid from 56 and Rod's Tire. The last truck we put tires on was the yellow truck that we had.
What did you put new tires all the way around on the yellow?
Yeah.
Drivers and everything?
Mm-hmm.
There's a yellow one. Yellow one had a flat tire the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's-
I've seen that, and we're gonna get it fixed. And,
It's off a steer tire,
Mhm,
right?
yeah.
That's that, Tina.
Any choice on the tires?
What was on there right now is the Westlakes, and they seem to do pretty good. You know, I haven't had a problem with them. I just, budget-wise, it's gonna be pretty close this year on the transfer station on that, so I'd save a few dollars. I'd just soon go with the least expensive
Okay.
tires right now on it.
I'm just asking, Kent's question was, I don't know about everybody else, but tires and load that we're gonna put onto that truck, is the Firestone name any better to spend the extra $100?
You know, it's
I don't know.
the Westlake's what's on it right now is what we gotten on a year and a half ago on them, and they've held up and done a really good job. So I'm not real.
Has that truck been down, that's one you've been using down the
Yep.
road too? Okay.
Yeah, it'll
That's a road
be
truck.
2 years in March. We've had it.
Are both of those tires foreign made? Or does Firestone actually make something in this country?
I don't know.
I don't.
I mean, if there's a difference between Chinese made and US made, I'm going with Firestone.
Mm-hmm. You know.
But I got some tires that are Chinese made. They're about 2 inches shorter than mine, but they still got the same label.
So we really wouldn't know.
Well, no, they were on offering. It was a warranty thing. They said,
Yeah,
definitely
I
don't
don't
buy
know.
Chinese.
For $100 more, I'd be fine with the Firestone.
I mean,
It's what's on the other truck right now. And
The way our world is, I think anytime we can, well, we want to spend in the county, we also want to spend in USA.
So
Yeah.
we have them check and buy the USA, either or, have approval.
I'd make a motion that if the Firestone or US manufacturer to approve 8 tires for 2,800.
I'd second that motion.
And if they're not, you can have the choice.
Come on. All those in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 5-0. To go with Firestone for $2,800. Okay, keep going.
I'd like to go in the executive session for non-elected official
Okay,
for performance. I'd like to have Tina in the counselor state. And
for how long a time?
I would probably 5 or 10 minutes.
Let's go 10 minutes then, okay?
Okay.
I move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss personnel performance of non-elected personnel pursuant to KSA 75-4319B with the board, Brad, and Tina, and Josh for 10 minutes. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Jonah. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Uh-oh, somebody stole, no, someone's back in this. A little deeper.
Okay, back in 10 minutes.
It's like timeout in school.
This conference will now be recorded.
I've got about a half a minute left, then the 10 minutes will be up, and we'll go from there then, about 30 seconds. Okay, out of executive sessions, no decisions, and I'd like to move on here, Josh, a little bit, and just like to ask you what standards that you expect to have on the inside of the fence down there with the building, and that now there's a door installed on the north side, and do we need rock up there to build a landing and stuff too? Because it had sunk the last time I was there.
Yeah, it's, cover up a little bit of rock, I'll get with Bryce and get a couple loads, we can do that. We're still waiting, there's a few things they gotta finish up on that north door.
Oh, they haven't got it done yet?
It's not completely done.
Okay.
So it's
Okay.
like, once it's done, all the guys are gonna start parking back there, they're gonna start using that door. I'm gonna keep all the vehicles out from
Okay.
the west side of the building and stuff. And
Does that include your county trucks too?
I'm gonna try getting them guys to get that county truck down in the shop. Usually they just leave it up there for the fuel. It's got the fuel on it.
Oh, fuel tanks?
Yeah.
On it, okay.
So,
I think the concern is just public, if you do have something and back into somebody or whatever, that we want the personal vehicles out there for sure, and stuff like that. And the door's open, and they've been doing good, I've been seeing them open, and, it's, I know it's maybe a little more of a pain, but if we can do, if you need something, there, and then, does anybody else have anything? I've got one more issue, but let's
We were
somebody else.
talking anymore about putting that packer on that tractor.
Yes. Should I get rid of the thumb and go to a round packer? Have you seen one yet?
I have not,
Okay.
so when we talked about it, I've been driving truck and I haven't gotten around it.
Well, understandable,
So,
understandable. but-
Now, since you'll have a lot more time.
Yeah, it's taking some time, a few other things, I've tried getting caught up at the weed department.
Yeah, just hate to see that edge keep getting.
Yeah.
The next thing I'd like to talk about is what I had a customer call. It was on a day of recycle, and he brought a little two-wheel trailer down that had some stuff on it, and he was turned down, couldn't come down until after 10:30. He called me directly after he left the transfer station, and I went directly to the transfer station, just to see what was going on. I can show you pictures of a clean floor, somewhat clean. There was a lot of stuff along the sides. I know that we couldn't handle big loads maybe, but I've seen recycle half of a building and I've seen waste half of a building in other transfer stations. I want that philosophy kept to somewhat to where we don't turn people down, because if somebody would have come from far out of our county with that little trailer, that person that I'm talking to about is from Marion, but somebody else and get turned down when there's a floor, and that's what he couldn't understand, was there's a floor that could accept what he had. He couldn't throw what the amount was through the doors if he would have. And so it was turned down by the staff.
Okay.
And so I'd like for you to address that somehow, let us know how you're gonna handle that. I mean, big loads or people bringing in truckloads from demolition, if they haven't made arrangements, then maybe that's a little different story. But anyway, I'd just like to see how you're gonna handle that and get some directions to your employees that way.
Okay.
And see if they can be accommodating, because
Talk with them and see what we can't do, you know, smaller loads people bring in. I know we've got area we can store and hold off and
Still discourage it,
yeah.
but
Don't kick them out.
We'll do it this one time.
Do it
We
one
don't do it
time
again
next
next
time.
time.
You know,
now you're aware of it, so don't keep.
yeah.
yeah, just, you know, we're here to help please the public, and if there's something that we cannot do, I wanna hear from our side, so I can back the employees and back you both.
Yeah.
And-
They had rules, and the employees followed the rules too. They didn't know they could bend the rules.
Well, that's what I'm saying, set it up and do something like this,
Okay.
because, you know, when you say you don't mix, why, I think there's a variation to that, to what we do, and maybe you can set it up for, even if you need the cement, the places I've seen, the cement runners down the middle with the blocks and stuff, to where all one side is for put over to the side or something. So I think it can be done, it's just a matter of doing it. And
Yeah.
if they have the right to do it, have the okay to do it, see what you can accept, and stuff like that. So
Okay.
be glad to work with anything you come up with.
Okay.
Anybody else have any concerns?
I'd say once you decide to start using that north door, I'd go ahead and put up an employee parking sign. That way, other people aren't pulling up in there and parking.
Yeah, yeah, it's just employees, yeah.
Okay.
Did notice single spots up there on the north. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all I have for you, Josh.
Alrighty.
Good luck with the truck driver, because we hope he stays aboard and get some tires on that truck. Any others?
you did say something else. That even if the shop truck is up there on the other side, the tractor, they all go undercover every night.
I don't know. Does your truck
I
go
mean,
undercover in
the
the building?
The pickup, they usually just kind of leave it in one spot off the side. It's out of the way. The backhoe and the skid steers, they pull them further inside. You know, once in a while they'll forget to, but
Would it be too hard for them to pull the truck into? I mean, say you get a hailstorm that night.
yeah. I always, you know, some of that I watch or hear, listen to the weather and tell them, you know, stuff. I keep up on that, but
It would be,
you know,
that would be
I'd
awesome.
like to try to keep getting that red truck down and
In the shop.
in the shop.
Whichever way you want, just work with us on that, let us know what you want.
Sometimes they'll hook to a trailer too.
Yeah, well, it'd just be a little bit embarrassing if the thing got hail damage and it's parked right outside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Covered.
Yeah, so, just tell people we like to keep our stuff as good as we can.
Okay.
Thank you, Josh.
All right, thank you.
Joe Ryan, Chairman from the Water District.
I was just gonna mention, it's been on my idea list to get some wireless mics for in here, because when people come out
Yeah.
from the, so I
Wherever the
haven't done
speaker
it,
is.
but we're gonna have to
Right,
be
so
careful
it's
about
good.
speaking
Everybody
into the
sit there
microphone,
for
and we
now.
might have to
Okay.
take turns.
We're not quite 100% efficient yet. We, like you were just talking, there's things we need to do, we haven't done, like get wireless mics for people and things like that yet, so bear with us and even get yours to working, huh? So, but that
In
just
today's
happens
world,
today.
you can't afford to be 100% efficient.
Yeah.
So, anyway, first of all, thanks to Tina for allowing us on the agenda, and thank you for the time today. Excuse me. I am Joe Ryan, Chair of the McPherson County Rural Water District Number 1. Majority of our district is in McPherson County, but our wells and a handful of customers are in Logan Township of Marion County. So that's why we're here today, basically hat in hand. I brought Jacob Allen and Doug Getz from Wilson & Company, and they'll talk a little bit more about some of the specifics of the program that we're working on. Just real quick background, almost 2 years ago, our entire water district board resigned en masse because of the issues that we're addressing here. And so myself and 4 other foolish people, decided to step up and see what we could get done. And so that's began the process. Shortly after we seated the new board, we retained Wilson & Company to come in and start speccing out a project, what we needed to get done. In July of that year, July just over a year ago, we were found in violation by KDHE, which we knew was coming. It wasn't a surprise to anybody, but we're essentially operating 2 water districts in the eyes of the state. It's all under McPherson County Number 1, but we have one well that serves one part of the district and is not connected to the rest of the system. And so consequently, we have pressure issues on that end because it's not served by a water tower or standpipe or anything. So that's where we are on that. And I'll let these guys talk about some of the more specific stuff. But we're here today, again, hat in hand, asking for some possible monies from the American Recovery Act, Rescue Plan Act, excuse me. And we have been in conversation with McPherson County also, so wanted to state that. And McPherson County's, they haven't decided how they're going to manage those dollars yet, so we're waiting on that. But they've been really good for us to work with. We've got a community development block grant application in that they are sponsoring because we're unincorporated at Roxbury. So we've been working through them and also with a sewer project in Roxbury that McPherson County is sponsoring. So they know exactly where we are and so anyway, I'll turn it over to Jacob or Doug or whoever is going to do this next. Better get the hot seat.
Hot mic. Yeah, so just kind of from a perspective of like Joe said, we've got a multitude of things going all at the same time because the issues weren't just defined to one. As it broadened itself, a lot of the funding agencies, when they look at it, say we would rather you look at the entire thing and try to figure out can you pull it all off versus coming back to us multiple times for different applications. So we're working with KDHE, we're working with CDBG, and those 2 entities together can pair up and do some things together from grants and loans. And so right now, we're just looking at trying to conquer everything because we don't want to have to show back up in 5 more years and have the same conversation. But we know that doing distribution lines downstream is just too much. So we're going to try to find a line that's getting everything, but not getting the distribution side of it.
Solve our violation of KDG. We'll let our district expand if we want to, and eventually we'll have to tackle distribution because it was all installed in the '60s. Start to age out, same as every district around.
So we had some conversations then with McPherson County about we've got wells, we've got chlorination facility, we've got an existing standpipe, we've got distribution. We would like to tackle the tower. We would like to replace the standpipe with the tower. We'd like to move the tower over to where the wells are. And that will also allow us to achieve some pressure problems on the east side of the system. So we're kind of this green area here, and we butt up, but you can see a lot of areas that aren't serviced here as well. If we were to move our tower into where that little dot is, we'll get some long-term benefits by being able to service additional people, whether it be in Marion or McPherson County. That was the ultimate goal, is let's not just do it, let's pick it up, move it, and if somebody comes and wants to be connected, which has been probably the request for the last, well, since you guys took over
There's people wanting
Yes.
to get on, but we just haven't been able to provide that service.
we just can't service them. So as a byproduct of this, we would like to look into the future and service them as well. So that's the ultimate goal by moving where the standpipe is today there near Roxbury out to a location near the wells.
We would move it out to Marion County, actually.
Yeah, you'd be in Marion County at that point. But with this piece that we were looking to visit with you guys about, we wanted to kind of focus on the wells because it was the smaller component of it. We know that a lot of us is in McPherson County, a piece is over here. So I had brought a handout along that simplified that millions of pages that you guys had, right?
Thank you.
So if you guys want, feel free to take one of those and pass it down. We knew that's a lot. We just wanted you to be aware that there's a big project going on for the district. It's a lot for user rates, and so we're trying to find the mechanism to keep it to where the constituents can, I'll say, have water at a cost that's fair and equitable with the rest of the Rural Water Association when they compare them to other districts in the state. So we have to meet a certain threshold to apply for a grant from CDBG. So we'll be above that for sure. We'll probably be $60 water for a hookup, just to give you an idea. So that's why
And that's with leveraging every grant option that we can.
$60 hookup fee, but what do you get?
per month.
Per month.
And that's for 5,000 gallons.
That's
For 5,000.
that's for 5,000. So we're at
What's your cost for the meter?
$35 a month for the meter, and then $5 1,000 is where we are on water. So, and that's how the state figures the number for grant applications is you take your monthly meter charge and whatever it costs for 5,000 gallons of water.
It's not that everybody necessarily uses that much, that's just how the state looks at it.
Correct.
It's just the line they draw in the sand of how to use it. So we'll be up there for sure in the grand scheme of comparison to other folks, but it's the best we can do for the constituents, and there are constituents that want hooked up, that haul water. And if we can get this combined, which is why we're here today, we can get it into a scenario where we can actually offer water to people when they come. We don't have to refuse them. We can say, okay, we think we can accommodate
So how many
this.
meters are in Marion County right now?
I think there's about 10.
Yeah.
More than the people
And by
have.
moving the standpipe, you
We
could
could
handle
provide those.
that many more?
When Joe was talking about the two separate systems, one well pumps into a small pressure tank, it's like 100 gallons, and that's what actually feeds the customers in Marion County. Our standpipe's just right outside Roxbury on
Right,
the hill.
yeah, I know where all of it
Due
is.
to that elevation, if we move the tower out, we can provide a water service to a larger swath of
So
Marion
that's a
County.
higher
Higher elevation,
Yeah.
yeah. So we'll put a pressure reducing vault there where the standpipe is now to keep pressure for Roxbury, but that'll allow us to put pressure throughout the rest of the system. Also increase the size of it a little bit, just for fire protection and any future
If
connections.
you
that
put a
we have.
standpipe there, can it just be gravity fed?
It'll, yeah.
Yeah, we'll move the tower though. not just
Because I know
standpipe.
the other wells in western Marion County that feed to the east, that's all gravity fed.
Yeah, that's
And
what
once
our
we
wells
go
will
from
pump
our
out.
wells,
Unless District 1 isn't, I'm not sure. Do you know?
No,
You have your tower, gravity feeds out of the tower.
Yeah, and that's
But the problem is around this end of northern Marion County, Marion 1 can't service it because of the
Yeah.
elevation.
Right.
So that's what, if some of those people went on in northern Marion County, they would have to go through Roxbury.
Right.
So that
And
purple
that's what we
ball
wanted
is-
to
yeah,
achieve. We
sure.
visited with them about, like, how could we,
Work together.
it's just impossible.
It's
They need
impossible.
more wells to give us
Yep.
more water. It was
It doesn't.
they have a problem, we have a problem, and we were trying to connect it, and we said, well, one thing we can do is we can make sure and not do a standpipe and do a tower, pay the extra money, which is gonna be a few hundred, extra $1,000.
So we don't have service in the purple area there?
The purple is
Purple
Marion
is.
1.
All the wide
Okay.
areas, all the wide areas don't have water service as of right now.
And you guys could service some of those in Marion County?
We definitely can set ourselves up to be successful.
If there's some connections up here that want to be connected, we have a water model of the system. It looks like we could service those areas that aren't currently serviceable.
Above the purple. Is that what
Yeah.
you're talking
Yeah,
about?
kind of right on that corner. in
Yeah.
there.
Up the corner.
Or even this direction.
Yeah.
More people south.
Yes.
And the grade falls off.
And the grade.
South there.
Yeah, this kind of is downhill as you go this way,
Okay.
so we could achieve it. So we want to achieve that. We know it's going to cost a little more to do a tower, but we want to do the right thing too. So that was where that discussion went, and it benefits everybody. And we,
So the district was looking at the whole project. That's what this 180 page report is. As part of that, we've applied for a KDHE Small Systems Grant. That's a $500,000 grant that we were awarded. That's for communities under 150 population. They award 2 or 3 of those a year. We're also applying for Community Development Block Grant. They go out and do an income survey of the constituents of the whole district. We were under that threshold, and we still haven't heard back if we won that. That'll be around the first of the year.
January.
But I think that's $200 and some $1,000 in grant there. And so even with, the total project was 1.2 million, even with getting that hopefully $700,000 in grant, our user rates are still pretty high.
that's at 60-ish.
Was rural development an option? Or?
We did look at them. They came to the meetings. They were not the most viable option.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all.
Only because KHE had that 150
Right.
population. That's a new program, and so that tipped us into there. Once we qualified for that on the last day, USDA said, "Okay, we'll see
Yeah.
you later.
Yeah.
Thanks for playing. We'll be here if you need us." Was how they went about it. And then obviously the Recovery Act
Yep.
came to play after we had all those
Yes.
meetings. And so we got to thinking about, well, we need to tackle the wells. We got a bigger project. We know they'll fund those matrix. If we could work on the wells, that was what we just wanted to talk about with you guys. And not try to get into whose piece of the tower and who's a piece of the well. Everybody's a piece of everything, but we were just thinking, okay, if we could have a conversation with you about, hey, we would like to go ahead and inspect the wells, clean the wells, acidize them, get them back. We've lost production out of them. So once we build the new tower, we still have a reduction from the wellhead. But if we could address that, then we would be one step closer again if somebody wants to hook on that we're not down a well, if that makes sense. Get ahead of our wells to some, I shouldn't say get ahead. Bruce has wanted to do something to the wells for a while.
And that's, if you look at those pictures on that last page, that's when they actually pulled the pumps and looked at the wells. I think that report was like 2012 to 2015-ish, right before the board switched over. So they looked at doing something, the whole board changed, and now we're still.
The acidizing works really well. Marion 1 did it.
Yeah.
It really improved production.
Yeah.
Efficiency wise, money wise, it's a good option.
And then we told Bruce, set tight. Because we're trying to do a big project, and if there was a way we could work that together, we might save some costs as making it part of one. So we were kind of thinking, and this little handout I have just kind of summarizes some water rights that we have. The project we were here talking about, or the component with you guys, was the $100,000 piece. So we've got a $1.5 million project going to a bunch of agencies. We didn't want to burden you down with all that. We just wanted to have a discussion about a $100,000 component, and if that would even fit into the recovery funds and we know that the counties get it, the cities get it, and the rural water districts don't. And so we just wanted to come have a conversation with you guys about, is that something that you would even entertain, thoughts? We know that some people haven't even made decisions, but we didn't want, you guys did not know either that we have constituents in the area. We want to help them, and we're here, and it just so happened that the timing works out, that our project fits. Even if you guys are in a situation where you're like, well, we got some time to make decisions, we have some time as well. We're not gonna hear until January on all of our other funding, and then we'll have a year to design it. So we probably could do the well stuff over the next year in 2022 to kind of give you a timing thought
Yeah.
process.
So construction on our project is probably spring of '23 is the earliest it'll go, and that's just strictly due to the funding timeline.
So what you're looking for Marion County, your request is 101.
Yeah, 101, 610.
Yeah, for the well component, and that's just what's in the report. If you guys say, well, I mean, we want to talk bigger, that's fine. We just didn't think it was necessarily fair to be asking for more than that.
Okay. And that number could probably go down slightly just because with the ARPA funding, there's less hoops to jump through than CDBG and KDAG funding. So some of the additional expense on the contractor will go down because of you don't have to meet the wage rates and stuff like that, but.
And those wells, we know we're gonna have to address one way or the other anyway, and that's something that we could start basically immediately.
Yeah, we could delay or we could go, whatever fit the time frame of how they put that time frame on you guys from a funding standpoint. We just wanted you to know that we're probably navigatable however that looks. But yeah, our request is that's the conversation we wanted to have
Just
today.
want to put your hat in the ring.
Yeah, and we know that if you might be asking other rural water districts, we understand that too. We just wanted to at least let you know what was going on and how that affects the constituents that are in that area, and our long-term goal to help them. So the district, as I look at it, is making a commitment. I thought the board did a good job after a lot of discussion about replace the existing standpipe with another standpipe. When Jacob and I went back to the drawing board and came to them and said, hey, it's gonna cost more to do a tower. You're gonna take on another $300,000 probably to go to a tower. Their commitment was, yeah, but if we're back here having another conversation that we can't serve people off of a gravity-fed tower at that location there by our wells in Marion County, then we're probably shorting ourselves, right? So
How are those standpipes taxed from a water district point of view? I mean, are they taxed on
No.
use value? There's nothing on it?
Nothing.
Okay.
It's a taxing entity, so,
Yeah.
right? So you're taxing.
No, it's not
Not
taxed.
No.
No, can't be, because it's gotta be supported by the members.
Yeah, it's all
Self-funded.
user fees basically on it, so.
Does that help? Understand it's
Yeah.
bigger, but we're just
Yeah,
kind
I was just thinking, if there's some taxation on there, McPherson County's not gonna give a standpipe to Marion
Oh,
County.
yeah.
But I see the red line, and is that right across the road, or are they side by side? You have two pipes all the way, I mean, from
Oh,
there
on
in
the
the
map
yellow,
there.
where Marion County is, down to the corner, and then goes back towards Roxbury?
Yeah, so
Yeah, so you
one
got-
well feeds those customers there, basically to our standpipe, and then another well feeds a line on
Are
the
they on
other
the same side of the road, or are they on different
They're on
sides?
opposite sides of the road.
Opposite side of the roads.
But they're a history of probably lack of foresight, kind of
Oh, yeah.
not having a tower versus a
Right.
standpipe, and
Right.
so they did just enough to service,
Yeah.
and then now they're in a situation where having both of those is what's getting them in trouble from a regulatory standpoint, because you're sampling this water, but it's not representative of that.
Yeah, so we're only sampling the water that goes to Roxbury, not to those constituents in Marion County.
As I was reading the big report, maybe your small report maybe has it in there. Do you have any savings accounts in this account? I mean, a substantial amount of money or anything?
I think we're in that $40,000 to $50,000 range is where we are as far as reserves go.
Okay.
And we have raised our rates. Well, I think Doug touched on it.
Yes.
To apply for the CDBG, I think it was that grant. We have to be above the state average. The state average was for that those figures we talked about was a little over $50. And we went ahead and bumped it up more just to try to build some more cash reserves going into the
And the
project.
reason why I asked the question, how much for a meter, is because the district that I'm on is $4,000, and they're wanting to go to $6,000 or $7,000 just to buy the meter.
To buy the meter, yeah, and we are at 5,000, and
Oh,
we haven't
you
been
are
able,
5,000?
yeah,
Okay.
5,000 to add the meter.
Okay.
And then, the customer basically stands the cost of the infrastructure to their
Yeah.
location.
So you're not too much different than anybody else, it just.
No, we've tried to, and we've just reestablished that in the last year and a half also. Been jumping through a lot of hoops and learning a lot of stuff through the School of Hard Knocks that we didn't know any better. But we haven't been able to add anybody, and so that was kind of a back burner type thing. You know, let's get this big stuff started and on its way, and so that is where we are. So.
Cool.
Yeah, we've had multiple people at the public meetings, and we've had quite a few public meetings who have asked to be hooked on. I've probably 10 hookups that could potentially happen that have just came forward.
Right.
So we want to help those folks. I mean, some of them are hauling water. And
Somebody that
stuff.
Kent mentioned a while ago, Al Rice tried putting a district together from Marion East here, because our east side of the county does not have a district. And he tried putting that together. Peabody spent an extra $125,000 we went from 8-inch to 12-inch from Hillsboro to the Canada corner, and then we dropped back to 8-inch to Peabody, or 6, I mean maybe 6, I don't know whether 6 or 8. But anyway, we tried to get ready for a group to come on, so I do have some reservations on, but I think the tower over the stand is great. I think that's a great thing, and because if it does happen, you've already got the tower, you got pressure, just a lot of things would happen with that. But make sure you got these customers, get something. I'd almost advise you, the district person, to get that in writing, get something for them, what it's going to cost, get it before you plan on it, before you spend money, because we tried the other way and it hasn't worked for us so far.
I see. Good advice.
Well, to give you a little idea where we're at, we're kind of like McPherson County. We have not established any parameters. We have a list of priorities.
Sure.
But we have not put together how we are going to prioritize how we're going to fund those. We do have another request from another water district. So I'm just speaking as individual commissioner, but I think we will consider that as part of, it will be in our deliberations as we move forward with deciding how to prioritize this.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, and what I told the board the other night is that probably coming here is a long shot, potentially, but if we don't ask, we don't have a shot at all.
Right.
So,
and it is directly applicable underneath
those parameters, yes. Yeah.
At least we know what you're planning too.
Yes.
Yeah, we felt like it would be great for you guys to just understand the project as a whole, and the little request that it's a piece of it, and why they're taking that additional tower.
I know of 2 of our districts, but up until this day, I didn't know you guys had a district in our county. I didn't know this up here. I mean,
That's
All I knew that well was out there,
Yeah.
but I didn't know that, I just thought that was Roxbury cities.
Yeah.
That's where these districts, if they span 2 or 3 counties, if they're named McPherson County, but they stretch a couple of counties, it gets kind of confusing.
No, that's something glad to know. I mean, we've accomplished one thing today. We know who you are now.
Well, that's good. That's
Yeah.
one step further in the process. Than we were.
First step.
Or
the offices.
Yeah.
If you guys decide that you're going to do a form or something, I know some counties have asked us to fill out something.
Yep.
Summarize more than 180 pages.
Right. Yeah.
Where we understand.
I think the board's very receptive to what Dave said, and I'd second his thoughts there, is that we put all of it in front of us, and we got to make that decision here coming up.
Absolutely.
So, may not be that kind of money, but it may be something.
Yeah.
So,
The request, the dollar amount, and the constituents served is always a good.
yes.
Those are going to be factors.
Yeah.
Sure.
So you get right on it. That gives us something to consider, work with.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys' time.
Yeah.
No, thank you guys.
Yep, thanks.
Thank you, the board, for stepping up, because somebody has to.
Somebody has to.
And it didn't for the pay.
Well, you know,
You on the water board, are you?
if we don't keep that system sustainable, then that whole area it's drying up as it is.
Yes.
Figuratively.
Yes, a
But,
couple of years ago, it was.
That's my personal goal, is just to make that system sustainable and serve those people that we have there. And so, so anyway, thank you.
Yes, I should add, we did visit with Marion One about how could we just buy water from you, abandon our wells. What would that look like? Could you gravity feed us? It just, like you said, it wasn't going to be financially. It's costing more than what this would be. So we said, okay, thanks for the conversation. And they're like, well, reach back out if you need. So,
Okay. Yes.
so we flushed through that because the funding agencies want to know that too.
Yeah, the first question is, did you cooperate or attempt to cooperate?
Yeah, and if we could and it was better, great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's honestly why the previous board resigned, is because they came with a proposal joining with Marion number 1, I think it was, and it was gonna be like, you know, $100 for
Yeah,
water
water.
versus the
Right.
60 or whatever.
Right.
And so.
That didn't go over well.
Yeah, it didn't go over well, no, it
No,
was,
for sure.
it was an ugly evening and
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
thanks,
Thank you.
guys. Thank you, Dave.
Well, like I said, that's the first I've known of the district. You guys live up there.
I thought it was Roxbury City.
Really? That's a good one.
You got you all roughed up, I guess, huh?
You bet.
All right.
All ready for good news.
Right, sit down.
Randy was on that one.
Yeah, that's kind of a loaded comment there.
Yeah.
All right. We have transport fuel bids that EPS was low, MFA bid, co-op did not, so request for EPS to be approved. All we had was unleaded fuel because we haven't been driving enough with our big trucks or enough people around to be able to use up enough fuel. So we're a little worried about that too, because right now we've got straight number 2 in the tanks and all of our vehicles. So we're hoping it doesn't get really, really cold between now and then. So.
Make a motion to go with EPS.
Second.
I have a motion to go with EPS. I'll let everybody take a look here and make sure. Second by Dave Mueller. Is there any questions before I ask for that? No, there's not too much decisions, is there?
Yeah.
All those in favor of going with EPS, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 5-0.
Okay.
Just for the public, EPS low bid was 4,000 gallons of unleaded fuel, $2.61 and 40 hundredths. Total price of $10,456 even. That was the low bid. And MFA oil was $11,178.40 for their bid for 4,000 gallons. So, thank you. Go ahead, Bryce.
I was gonna talk about crushed concrete, but did you get that? Okay. So I don't know whether you wanna say anything or just nothing about it, or
We'll do it.
There's 2 different ones.
in executive session, or, okay.
South side of 140th, west side of Pawnee.
I just have one up here. You have 2
What's
of
it say?
No, those are all different.
All
ones.
need to go.
They all need to go.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. Yep.
There was a copy for each of us.
It's like a week and a half ago when you had that thick pile, there's a lot less.
They all go. So.
I get all these?
All of
Yes.
them.
Yeah, they all go down.
That goes,
Yeah.
That goes
that's
to.
it.
Yeah. So, sorry about that. Yeah, the only thing they have left is what they call the wreck out.
They're all for the chairman's signature.
Which will be the removal of the line from Peabody up that way when they get the new line up.
This is from who?
This is Evergy.
Evergy?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's one of those things for just a whole bunch of them that formality for temporary entrances and stuff like that, so.
Okay, is this just replacement of lines, Bryce, or do you know whether it is?
This is the new line.
This
This is all new line from Jade Street in Hillsborough down to the Florence Sutton. So this is there were some questions on these, and so they had to check these out. So this is the continuation of that first set.
Okay.
So
And do you know if there's any more scheduled or not? Because at one time, somebody said there's a big map and Marion County has a lot going on in it. Maybe this is the whole.
well,
problem.
I do have a map that shows all these points if you guys want to see it, but that's basically the only map. And again, the only thing that would follow up after this would be the wrecking of the removal of the line from Peabody up to the substation after they get this new line going.
Oh, okay.
So.
Any questions by the other commission on that? Okay.
I didn't know
We
if
need action. I would move to have the chairman sign and approve the Evergy's applications.
Okay, I have a motion by Dave Mueller, a second by Kent Becker to go ahead and have the chairman sign. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 5-0.
Didn't know if anybody had had a chance to go up to Wabunsee County to look at that road.
I have
Yep.
not.
Okay, I was just happened to be going up there. I had to go to Woodbine to get a sample, so I went up there. It's Not as smooth as ours, but then again, they did mill it when they were done. Yeah, that's, they didn't
So,
have that specified.
No milling at all?
No milling, correct. The superintendent has made a comment that he wanted it to be smoother also. He has contacted the contractor to see if they couldn't come back and see if there's some way to fix it. They did widen out their roadway. They were anywhere from 20 to 21 feet. He wanted to widen out to 24. There's a lot of places that are 26 feet. So they faced the same thing that we did with that extra material, that fluff, that it got widened out. So anyway, that same process, but like I said, a little bit different. I was gonna try to compare the unit prices, but theirs was only 5 miles, where ours was 20 miles. So it's kind of tough to compare apples to apples there. But anyway, it does show you the different processes. Now this one did, they wanted to stay totally in state with the contractor. They actually went with the 4th bid. That was an in-state contract, you know, name and everything. And so it cost him an extra, I'm trying to remember, was $100 and some thousand to do that. But again, that was their choice. He is cautiously optimistic. Of course, his road was maybe even a little bit better than what we had on Nighthawk, but this is so much better than what he had before even. They did the double chip seal on top of it. But anyway, that's just what his comments were. But he actually turned in the next 5 miles for a cost share with KDOT. So he's hoping that he can do that too. So, but anyway, if you guys get a chance, I mean, it's kind of out of the way, but just something to look at to see what else there is.
Where exactly is it?
Basically comes out of Alta Vista, going north, and then it's old Highway 10 that comes into the west side of Alma.
Okay.
All the way across there. They did the first 5 miles coming out of Alma, and he said that was probably the worst section he had.
We're driving that road just to go on it.
Yeah, it is.
Probably the prettiest road in the state.
It is very pretty. You spend a lot of time doing this and this and this, and
It's gorgeous.
a couple 90-degree turns and stuff. But like I said, they looked at the fact is money-wise, it was tough to pass up because, you know.
When they did their slough and they did widen, did they try doing any embankment compaction?
They basically the same thing we had here, because he had made the comment that yeah, he says we've got some sharp, steeper foreslopes than what they planned, but they were the same way. There's no way to deal with them at the time.
Last week at dinner table, Farmer Talk, had 2 different farmers have been off with a tire close to the edge, and they sank.
Yeah,
So,
well, and again, it's just out there, and we, you know, I would hope that we get enough moisture to it that it eventually will settle up, but it's just, you know, we haven't had that enough moisture. But yeah, and that's, you know, again, we're gonna, until we can deal with or counteract that extra material, that's what's gonna happen. But their process was essentially the same. Now what they did up there is Burkamp actually went the day before and mixed it up and put the moisture, put the water to it, and then they actually come back the next day and remixed it with the cement. He was more concerned about getting the moisture in there and making sure that it was uniform. I don't know if there's any difference. It's still allowed because all it says is you have to have it compacted after the cement is added within 2 hours.
So there's 2 passes.
They did, yes.
1 pass for moisture and then.
Yeah, and they didn't use on the first pass, they still used a 7-foot drum. So they made 2 passes with a 7-foot drum, and then they dropped back and did the same thing with the cement. So, but like I said, it's still the same process.
Surprised they could get any cement incorporated in. That's nothing but solid rock, that whole road.
Well, actually, that area there, he didn't have any problem. He said so, but and I don't know. He didn't really say what the existing road bed was like, but you know, we've really been talking a lot because he's asked me a lot of questions about this, and you know, so. But I like the fact is it's always nice to talk to somebody that's done it and you know their opinions and stuff like that, and maybe we can get some uniformity or whatever you want to say between them. So anyway.
I think that I probably would try getting there. I've got some time off this week. Maybe it'd be a good road trip for
Yeah. Yeah. It is a very, I mean, it's just a matter of getting to it, you know, you get down to this and you go north, okay, well, it's about the only road going out Alta Vista, we're going north too, so. I can only imagine what that was like when it's a state highway. But, you know, at the time, probably Model Ts.
Huge ranges, all huge ranges.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of the state highways weren't even paved.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
just to say it was a state highway doesn't.
Yeah. When he told me where it was, I said, man, I tried to pull that up and there was no record whatsoever. It just took a little trial and error to try to find it. We had talked about the hot mix and stuff like that, projects we want to do next year. And I guess I wanted to follow up for sure to try to get that nailed down. Number one, it's about time, if we really want to get a good price, is to get those projects out for letting. Because if the contractor does want to bring in a pile or a plant or whatever else, they need to stockpile material. With that being said, APAC will be setting at the Florence Quarry this spring to finish off a job on Highway 50 that was supposed to be done this year. So again, if we could get those things out there, there's a possibility that we could if they were to get the bid, that we could have a plant set right there with all the materials and get maybe a better price. Again, I don't know. So I guess what I'm looking for is, you know, what we want to go with for sure. You talked about doing a bond and you know, what you want to do there, but you know, and I haven't heard any more about the 290th, you know, and I know it's difficult trying to get all them to work out. So, but I mean, you talked about basically Indigo for sure, getting that done. So I guess what I'm wondering is I could come up with what I think the prices will be, you know, the estimates to do those, and then come back with you so we can kind of make a decision to get those going. You know, obviously we put them out, even if we get them out 1st of December, we'd probably get approved or get bids back, and you know, by the end of the year we would still be in pretty good shape. Because none of the asphalt will probably go until, weather dependent, everything else probably mid-April. So, but
Will anybody bid oil?
What's that?
Will anybody bid that oil?
Oh yeah. They contract all the big plants, whatever else, they contract the oil from year to year. They say we're looking at X amount of tons of oil, and that's what they go with. So, but again, the sooner we get that in, then the better off we can be too. So.
That was part of your question there, Bryce. You said other projects. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for getting Nighthawk taken care of there the last week or the week before, whichever it was.
We're actually going to do a little more with that tomorrow. It's a little rough. When we went to put that in there, our distributor plugged up. We're having a heck of a time. So we're actually going to go in there and mill a little bit. We're going to actually put some hot mix over the top of it. So
my question to you would be then, since the one side is 5 or 6, whatever it is, on one side, my question to you would be is what I ask you there. Could that project that's going in at Nighthawk and 190th, can that leg, does that be extended for 200 foot, 300 foot? I don't know what it would take to cover that bridge. Or cover
that culvert. I would have to contact KDOT because one of the issues.
I meant on our price.
Well, but what I'm saying is we have to be careful because when they get the permits and everything else for these projects, they typically allow you 100, 200 feet to go off the project. I don't know what that would be, but they say, hey, well, and of course we could say, I guess technically we could say, hey, we're just going to pay for it out of our fund. Anyway, I just need to make sure that would be okay because they, especially with federal grants and stuff, or federal money, they're concerned about things like that.
If you think the 100, 200 foot may be the best way then, but I don't care.
Yeah.
I just like to keep it in mind.
Yeah, I understand.
If just so that it would be a final thing and maybe we won't have to be back out there no more.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that for the entire road too, but yeah, I can sure check into that. Like I said, that would be the only thing that would cause a problem would be just to make sure that we were very, very specific as to where we started and stopped.
Okay.
With that. So, because I know that they used to, well, even, geez, 3 or 4 years ago, they used to say, right here's where the project started. They would allow nothing to go either way. And man, that was tough because you could do so much with it. So.
Yeah. Okay.
But,
well, just keep in mind that
sure.
Bring something back to us if it is our cost, so we can make that
Yeah,
decision.
I wouldn't think it'd be much. It's just, I mean, their mobilization's going to be there, and it's going to be a unit cost. So.
Tying in good north and south is what we really want to.
Yeah. And we did on the north end of that, we actually milled in from where the full depth reclamation ended, or up there down to where the full depth reclamation stayed, we milled in 150 feet. So all that 150 feet will be taken out, so the grade will be the same as what it is north of it. So that was kind of the way to do that, so.
Okay.
Anyway.
But while the item before, let's take a step back. On the bond issue and Indigo, what do we need to do to get rolling on that? Because the time is coming up to get
We
the
have to have
project
bond
going.
council come in and talk to us.
But can we set up a priority so we can get the project lined out?
I think that's what Dave's asking is, which comes before, the cart or the horse here?
Right, because it's getting to be time to put that out.
Yeah,
So
and so do
we don't want to be stuck and miss the boat.
So our engineer is gonna give us a speech right here real quick, like, and tell us which way to go here to set that up, Dave.
Okay?
I honestly don't know. I've never been involved with,
Okay.
going through the bond process. I mean, I can give you the
No, I
numbers.
think what we're asking is, which road do you say needs to be done first?
All of them.
At least that's what
all
I'm
of
taking
them.
for granted.
No,
We can take care of the bond issue.
Yeah.
Project, and
We
the
can
project, the bond should do more than Indigo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what I was
So
gonna ask you
if-
before.
I guess it can commission give you direction to put together a package for us?
Well,
And
that's-
then the commission work on getting the bond work done?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about before, is I can
Yeah,
come
that's
back
what
and
I
I can
asked you to-
put all these,
We have to have bond council come in.
yeah.
Well, is that agreeable?
Everybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
We need to get the thing rolling.
Yeah, I mean, we're just talking about what roads we want.
Well, first Indigo, obviously, and then
South
what
side,
what
Indigo.
packages with that best for
120.
efficiency?
Sort of stop at 120th
And to go to 120th and
Well, like I said, what I'll do is I'll break them down.
Okay,
all
you'll
over
bring
the-
us a
So, yeah, I mean, I like the money to go as far as we can.
Yes,
so-
and that's tied together with proximity.
He's
that's
gonna,
all-
he's
that's
gonna,
all
he's gonna
falling
make a
apart.
list.
All of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I'll break them up on that. We had talked about doing from 120th both ways, or doing it all at one time.
We'll get your money.
Yeah. Okay, I'll come back with you
Okay.
on that, so.
Good.
Um,
Just didn't want to drop that.
Yeah, because we had, the other thing to look at too is one of the roads is in dire need. It's basically getting to be Nighthawk, where we have as many gravel patches as we do asphalt patches, is Olney, 140th into Olney. So, as a commission, do you want to spend the money to fix it up? Do you want it to go back to rock for a while?
Well-
Again, that's something else I can bring back to you, but it's just,
Whatever we do, let's don't go through some chip and seal on it, and 2 years later, it's.
we can't.
it's-
There's absolutely no way. I mean,
It's gone.
we patched it a year and a half ago and the patches were failing. I mean, there's just absolutely nothing there. And we're keeping it going by the rock patches, just simply to keep the big
I
areas.
think the last time we done it, it might have made it 3 years, but this was the third year, and
Yeah,
it's not.
Only is 2 miles off of Nighthawk,
3.
3 miles off of Sunflower.
Yes, sorry, yeah. So,
If you went to 2 miles,
well, yeah,
moved up to 3.
yeah. But anyway, I'll figure all that out, but I mean, that's gotta be, another one you look at is Quail Creek going to Ramona. Especially the north end, it's really falling apart fast. So we're dealing with that. But anyway, I'll kind of get all that stuff together so you guys can look at it and get started on what you want to do, how much you want to spend, whatever else. But
There
or we can
again,
just get.
Tampa to Ramona seems to be worse than from Tampa to, the Tampa Road to south to 290.
Don't mention that because.
We know.
Tampa, I was just on that the other day.
That
I mean,
yeah.
I'm gonna get chastised for it. But there's ones that are way worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the Quail Creek? Or are you talking about
One,
I'm not talking about Tampa Road.
Tampa to 290th. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
No,
limestone.
290th comes out and meets
I mean,
Quail Creek.
Right.
And then you go
Yeah.
from Quail Creek, go north to Ramona.
Yeah.
And from there north, it seems to be.
It's pretty bad.
oh, yeah, it's been that way.
That last 2 miles, we
Yes.
basically overlaid it continuously with blade patch last year, and it's still.
What about the culvert? I was just by that, yes, Friday.
290th?
Yeah.
I was getting to that.
Okay. It was,
So-
and nobody was there, and it was Friday, and it was
Yep.
nice, and I was trying to figure out what was the deal.
Well,
You don't get material or something?
honestly, that has been a real pain. We specified 81 for material instead of 83. I like the 81, you get the less fines, I like it better for material, but it's only 300 tons. And Woodbine, in order to make that, they don't sell a lot of it, had to start mixing and whatever else. So we went through 3 different tries of trying to get that material to work. And finally said, you know what, they're going to give us a price deduct, we're going back with 83. Because I said, we gotta get the road open. That's ridiculous, we've been sitting there this long. The contractor's been charged working days except for rain days. And they're almost out of days, so we have that. But fact is, they're on their way right now. They're gonna be putting geogrid down today, hopefully rock tomorrow. So possibility, if the weather holds out, or maybe even next week, we have asphalt on it. So hopefully optimistic within 2 weeks, we'll have it done and open.
The geogrid is your rock and grid, right?
The geogrid is the plastic nylon stuff they put down the bottom. It required that, 8 inches of asphalt and 8 inches of hot mix. So it will be a super highway compared to the rest of the road. But that's the new requirements.
8 inches of asphalt and then what?
Yep, and 8 inches of rock.
Oh, 8 inches rock, okay, I was gonna say, that seems to be.
But I mean, 8 inches of rock and 8 inches of asphalt, I mean,
Yeah.
it'll withstand everything, but that's the new design standards. Anything with trucks like that,
Yeah.
that's what comes into play.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's, that's what kicks the price up on everything if you have to bring everything up to current standards. But anyway, so, again, I'm hopefully optimistic that weather holds out by the middle of the end of next week, we have it back open.
Standards just keep getting higher because everything gets more and more heavy.
Well, and that's what it was. I mean, it's based on.
Everything's getting heavier.
Yeah, it's based on the
longer.
pavement design.
Yep.
Yeah, so, we got that done, and then on Goldenrod Bridge, they have the south side done, the entire piling, wings and everything else, they moved to the north side. They were hopefully optimistic they would get the north side done and maybe even set beams by the end of the week. Which means that by the time they get the beams set, they have to deck out, probably give or take a month, be able to pour the deck and go from there. So again, weather dependent. It's a great time to pour bridges because it's cool, but yet you also have to go through some extra requirements. But anyway, so we would have that hopefully by, like I said, middle to the end of December, we could have it open again, depending on weather and stuff. So
You could buy it. Anybody could buy that? I haven't been buying it yet.
So, I would like to contact the landowners out there and see if we couldn't get them together and go in there and try to fix that road like we did on Eagle. Or we push all the slopes and their stuff. This one isn't as bad, but we've also done it before. It wasn't to the extent we did on Eagle. But anyway, that'd be a good time to do it while we're getting that bridge done. And the bridge it's probably 3 to 4 feet higher on the south end than what it was. And so by building that roadway up there, that will hopefully be able to keep more of the water in the channel.
Down the bridge.
Yeah, because that's where all that water comes out and just washes straight down to the south and just takes everything with it, so. But anyway, that's where things go. So, that's all I had, unless you guys had something else other than
So you're rip wrapping up there on the Cottonwood.
a goldenrod, 290th.
Yeah,
Yep, yep. We put a whole bunch of rock in there, just constantly getting hammered up every
Well,
drip.
we have the stuff right there anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's almost a low water crossing anyway.
Yeah,
It drops down to the bridge and then goes back.
And honestly, I can't believe that bridge has actually stayed. For as many times as that's been flooded with the drift up there, that amount of water, it's just incredible. It shows you the resiliency of a 90-year-old bridge, you know, but, so.
The hard rock pile on K-15.
We're gonna be taking that up to some roads up there in Loyal. Now that we're back, we've had quite a few people off the last couple of weeks with harvest and stuff too, so.
And then patch, is there a patch crew out?
Hand patch?
Yeah.
We haven't had lately, but.
Well, somebody had tried to hand patch on 290th last week,
Okay,
but they need a great deal of supervision.
okay.
They missed most of the, they didn't even hit the hole.
Okay, they,
Got bumps out there.
I mean,
will-
it is sad, it was sad.
yeah, I will follow up with that. The other thing we can do is maybe we could, even if we couldn't get some good cold mix, whatever else to go out there and.
It's not the material,
Yeah.
somebody needs some supervision.
Yeah, I'll follow up with that, so. Okay, anything else?
I have nothing right now. Does anybody else have any questions?
And I don't know, Brad, do you wanna talk about this thing with APM, or do you want us to discuss a little bit more and come back next week?
Thought that it's gonna be the element, it can be an element of that same session a little later on,
Okay.
if you're available.
Just.
It'll be a consistent exception.
Okay, consistent exception.
I have to invite you in.
Okay, all right, well, whatever the case may be, so I didn't know if you had a chance to read it all over.
I did.
Okay, yeah,
Okay, Bryce, thank you.
Good.
Appreciate it.
just let me know.
I'll let you know here.
Okay.
Okay. And the next order of agenda is Diane Nowak, citizen concern. Diane?
So I know you're all excited to see me again.
Well.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi. Okay, so I came here because I am very concerned about something. And it's a subject that I have addressed once before, but I've been doing so much research on this for like the last year on that. And I have some reports to give. And that is, of course, on the voting machines. I'm still talking about, I've been working on this voting machine thing for a long time. I'm on several committees throughout the state on these voting machines. So if you think they're going away or the subject's going away, it's not. It's just not being brought to the forefront yet, but it's coming. So anyway, I just wanted to bring just a few little pieces of information that I have. You can do with it what you want, blow me off or whatever you want to do, or think about it, whatever, it's fine. So I just wanted to talk about the machines, and I don't care if you're talking about the Smartmatic or the Heart or the Dominion, the Esns, all the same. And they've been around for a long time. This is just a little snippet here of a little early intervention here. Originally the ESNS was called the Datamark, and then later they changed their name to AIS, which is American Information Systems, and then of course the ESNS. And then Diebold entered into it and renamed it to Premier. And then Diebold and ESS sold. And so now today anyway, the bottom line is you have a mix of ESS and Dominion, Premier and Diebold and Cisco. But they're all run by ESNS and Dominion. So I come across this, this particular security evaluation of ESNS voting machines and electronic management systems. And this right here was done by the Department of Computer and Information Science from the University of Pennsylvania. So what they did was they took the Dominion machine, the ESNS machine apart and totally analyzed everything inside. They did not finish their analysis because it's very expensive, of course. But what they did find was they found many vulnerabilities into the ESNS machines. Several other states also did similar surveys and evaluations on machines like Florida, Ohio, and Maryland and others and stuff like that. But again, the cost is just overwhelming because these things are exceedingly, we can't argue, they are just inarguably complex. And so I chose this one right here to take my information from, and so I just have a few things to read to you. I'm not going to bore you to tears because it can get that way. I've been reading this stuff, and some of it is so complex and hard to understand unless you are a forensic person. Well, this particular one breaks it down to where lay people can really understand it. But the bottom line is all the ones that I read, it comes to basically the same conclusion, different wordage or different whatever. But anyway, so it has many components. In fact, some of these machines have hundreds of components and codes and things like that. That's what makes them so more complex. And so one component is Unity, and it's a window-based software suite for managing elections. and it contains tools for creating and managing election databases. You also have the iVotronic touchscreen, image manager, election reporting manager, audit manager, and also tools for abstracting programming and communications with various other components. And all interaction between the Unity and voting hardware is controlled by the hardware programming manager. Then you have these things called the PEB, and they're really technical. They're called personalized electronic ballot interfaces, and they're little palm-sized devices contained with a PIC microcontroller, 2 megabytes of flash storage, a bidirectional infrared transceiver, and a battery. And this device is activated by a magnet, read switch, and contains a magnet to activate the corresponding read switch in the touchscreen system. Any hacker can exploit this vulnerability by creating a special crafted PEB that allows arbitrary code execution, results, or having the ability to gain full control of the machine that is running by Unity. Because of the ease of the reading of these PEB memory facilities, they cause a number of powerful attacks. A county-wide result and interjects codes that control over the county-wide back-end system that would affect the results reported by the county's precincts. This security evaluation identified 2 critical components of the Esns system which suffer from exploitable errors in functions that process input over their external interfaces. Both the Unity and the iVotronics terminal have buffer overflows that allow hackers who can provide input to effectively take over the system. We found numerous buffer overflows throughout the ESS system. Several of these buffer overflows have extremely serious practical security implications. Most serious is what the nature of these vulnerabilities means, and that there are only a few barriers to obtain this access. So there's no passwords or nothing really to prevent. It's one of the easiest ones to hack, is basically. So they found explorable vulnerabilities that allow a hacker to replace or alter the firmware and the software of virtually every component of the Esns system, either by circumventing access control or triggering software errors. The PEB interface during polling day, errors to the iVotronic PEB input processes codes allows anyone with access to the PEB slot on the face of the terminal to load malicious software that once loaded can change records, recorded votes, misrecord future votes throughout the election and future elections. So I found that to be that's just briefly, and I do have, as you could see, this is a rather detailed report, and this is where I took those from. And I will also tell you that I didn't just pick out the really bad sentences. That's not what I did. Because you can go through this, and it is mimicked throughout. It has pictures of the components in the machine. This is solely about inside the machine. It has nothing to do with any of the manual labor or people operating these machines. This is just internal. I do have an extra copy if anybody is interested in reading the full report, because it is wide open, I'll tell you. And so then I do have one other thing here that I wanted to say, and this is from Christopher Bolin, who is a investigative reporter, and he's been working on these machines for a long time. Now he says that the fact is that they have a 2-way modem inside, which anyone with a modem-equipped computer, from a hacker to a vendor to a telephone company, personal politicians, or whatever, can actually get into these machines very easy. I was told this a while back, that when you're in a room with one of these machines, when they're functioning, if you have a cell phone or something like that, that machine through the modem can get online. I never really found it in writing until I started reading these reports. Now basically, this evaluation from the University of Pennsylvania didn't say that directly, but basically when they're telling you how they hack into it, it would have to be through internet service of some nature, modem or otherwise. So, going into that, I'm really worried about Marion County and the voter integrity. And I will just bring this here out. Of course, I don't know if anybody follows this. This is just kind of funny. Well, it's not funny, it's part of it. But I put in a Quora request to Tina, just out of, like I do a lot of times. I wanted to know how many people in Marion County voted. And she did respond to me very quickly and told me that there were 6,234 people in the 2020 general election who voted, which is sad for our population, but nonetheless, that's how many people voted in the 2020. But that included everybody. And a lot of those people really were ineligible to vote. So I did do another one, and she corrected, but explained that there were 64 people who were not eligible to vote. So the actual total count in Marion County is 6,170 counted votes in the 2020 general election. So I also do my checks and my balances, and I contacted the Secretary of State, and I asked the very same question. He came back and he told me that in the 2020 general election in Marion County, Joe Biden received 1,516 votes. Donald Trump received 4,465. That's a total of 5,981 votes. And this is what he claims is the total votes in Marion County, 5,981. Now, that's a total difference of 189 votes. I don't know how that difference could happen because we reported to the Secretary of State, but he said that that's what his reporting is, and I have it here in my email from him. So he's reporting on the state that we have 5,981 votes, which is kind of concerning if you want to know really, because what happened to those 189 votes? It's just crazy. I also took that then, and so on that, I know everybody heard about Mike Lindell and all that other type of stuff and the big lawsuits and stuff that he's going through with all this voter fraud, and it goes into many things, but he's focused on machines as well, okay? And so it's on the website, so it's there for everybody to see, and I did print off a copy of all the counties in the state of Kansas, and he is saying that and he's using the Secretary of State's numbers, by the way. It is 5,981, which I'm sure that's where they get their information, from the Secretary of State. But he's saying that 502 votes in Marion County were flipped from Trump to Biden. Now, I have not got the breakdown on that to do a check and balance, okay? But this is in the documentation that is in their lawsuit for Marion County. And of course, the other counties are listed here too. Some of them are substantial. But that's all in the programming of the machines, okay? So I come not just with a complaint on that, I come with a solution. I ask that we consider going back to hand counting votes, at least ways till all this blows over, or till we can get a grip on it. I know I was at Tina's presentation a week or so ago when she got the machines out of the closet, took the dust off of them, and ran them through their tests and all that type of stuff, and there was a young girl there, and I said something about going back to hand counting, and she said, oh my God, well that would take forever. 6,000 votes take forever. I think if you had groups of so many, you could pay those people to count, whether it's a day or two, keep the money in Marion County. I know a lot of people in the polling areas, wonderful people. I would never question their ability to do their jobs, okay? And so if you keep it local, people will identify with these people who are counting these and stuff. And if you have a Democrat and a Republican, of course you have to do the downs and all that. I know there'll be a process, you have to well think it out. But some counties are actually going to this, and I don't think Sedgwick and Johnson is. That would take forever. But there's got to be a solution to this. There's got to be some other way to go with this voting deal. If we lose control of those machines, we lost it all. I mean, we lost it all. We lost our ability as an independent free people with our constitutional right to a fair and safe election. And so I just bring this information to you.
In your research, Diane, is there any counties in the state that are actually contemplating, or I don't even know what the law says. Maybe the law says you have to provide an electronic format. I don't know that.
I've not read anything like that. I haven't heard. I'm on several committees nationwide on this right here. And I have not heard anything about it. I do know that when this goes before the Supreme Court, which I think is Tuesday before the Thanksgiving, before they couldn't do that. Now there is one or two states that have deemed them illegal in their state. And how they come about that, I didn't even study it, but they did. But when it goes before there, I do know that they have to have 38 states to support this, to take it before the Supreme Court, because they're going on the amendments of it infringing on the rights of safe and fair elections. Okay, because that is in the Constitution. And when you have outside hackers, you're stealing the safety and the votes of the people. So they have the 38 states. What states they are, I don't know, and they won't tell you because of the backlash that those attorney generals and stuff might have. But it'll be revealed in just a couple of weeks. But it's going to be very interesting to follow and see how this is going to come about. You know, I understand earlier when they tried to prosecute some of this, they didn't have standing, and they didn't have standing. And that was just a cluster why they even tried it at that point in time. You know, if they get 38 states, I think that's pretty much the same as on your convention of states, you know, for us to do call an actual convention, we have to have 38 states. You have to have 2/3 of the states. So 38 is the big number, and I know they have that. That many states supporting going before to do something about these machines. So, I don't know, I'm trying to follow every bit of it, but it's moving fast. And, we'll see.
States together, I don't know why they're taking it to the court. They could override Congress at that point. Does anybody else have any questions?
Okay, well, I just wanted to bring out the information, that's all. I don't know how many people are following it or not. I do have a copy of this report if anybody's interested in it. Anything that I have that anybody's interested in, I'll be happy to give copies to. Like I say, I just want to make sure, that's one of the missions of some of us people on these committees, is to make sure that our commission and stuff is advised and have something that you might want to think about. Maybe there's other alternatives. You know, you got a lot of good minds and stuff here. Maybe you can come up with something different to protect the people and their votes. That's all.
So you're saying all voting machines are susceptible to being corrupted?
Well, you know what I'm thinking? That's not what I said. I was talking about those specific ones that are under the Dominion and the ESAS and stuff like that we were dealing with, and that I have the report. Because this is what I'm saying, I'm reading to you from the report.
There's other machines out there.
There's lots of other machines out there, but what I'm saying is, you know, hackers today are pretty daggone smart. And if they can break into our pipelines and into these big companies, don't tell me they can't break into Marion County. I mean, it's just an ugly thing that we're all faced with in today's world. And I just hope we can do something. And I don't have all the answers, I'm just saying something. So,
Thank you, Diane, appreciate it. I mean, I know as far as I'm concerned, that I can't comment on that because that's above me. Machine hacking and that kind of stuff way above me, so.
well, some of those components and stuff, it's way above me too. You have to be a forensic expert to understand it. Yeah, so, okay, well, I appreciate you
Can you
allowing me
leave
the
a copy
time.
for at least us to share?
Certainly, I certainly will.
I'll have to shoot an electronic copy.
I can do whatever you like.
Just shoot me an email. I don't need a paper copy.
That'd be fun. That'd be fun.
That would
If
be
you've got a
fun.
paper copy, then that's fine.
Yeah, I do have a paper copy, yes, I made an extra one, but I will also shoot you a paper copy if you'll pass that down. Thank you. Okay,
Thank you, Diane.
you bet, thank you guys. Work hard now.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
What can you say?
Yeah, I like people to work hard.
Yeah. Our next agenda item is health department hiring discussion, and that will be an executive session. And Tina, I'm gonna refer back to you, you know what kind of time frame maybe?
I think you probably just need 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay. Could be, all 5 of us need to know some could question you, so that could take some time.
10 minutes.
10 minutes will be fine.
Okay. Alrighty, that's for a term. What is that?
It's
Hiring.
personnel to discuss hiring under number 1.
Okay. I move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss personnel hiring for personnel matters of non-elected personnel pursuant to KSA 75-4319B for 10 minutes. That would be from 2:24, to 2:19 to 2:29. Betsy 19-229. Second by Jonah. All
But
those in
did you
favor?
need to, I'm sorry, did you state who's gonna be in?
Okay.
I'm
You-
sorry.
For the board, Brad and you to be in
Thank you.
the meeting. And we got a second by Jonah. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. 5-0. 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Meeting, cameras on now and turn the electronic meeting on here, just a moment.
It's gonna be forever.
Yeah.
Okay, it's almost there.
So how do you budget forever?
Did any of you guys notice the elections, every sales tax voted passed this year?
No, not everyone.
Almost.
Yeah, but not everyone. There was one defeated pretty bad.
Okay, one, okay.
Yeah, that I know of.
But
somewhere.
9 out of 10
This
passed.
conference
I-
will
I
now be
watched that.
recorded.
Yeah,
But you noticed it was all in affluent areas
yeah.
where the money is.
Okay.
I didn't know, I was just watching the thing at the bottom.
Does the commission feel we need 5 more minutes? Okay. Okay, out of the executive sessions, no decisions.
I'm wondering if it would be helpful to have 5 more minutes, actually.
I'll make a motion to go in executive session for the same reasons that we did just a while ago for 5 minutes. Do I hear a second?
Second.
To include Brad and Tina.
And board.
Second from Jonah. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 5-0.
Okay, we'll be back in 5 minutes.
I didn't read it.
Is that for the same thing?
Are we in session now? No.
I believe we are.
This conference will now be recorded.
Everything's on.
Okay. Out of executive session, the county commission will make an offer to a candidate. And at this time, that's all I can say.
So is that a motion?
Oh.
To make an offer?
Yeah, I'd make that motion to offer to a candidate that we've interviewed. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Dave Mueller. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Abstain?
Abstain, just for the fact that I wasn't part of the interview
Okay.
process.
Kent abstains, 4-1. All right, next on the list here.
Oh, what executive session is it now?
Personnel performance executive session. Is that you, Tina?
Yes.
Yes, okay,
And really, I just need a real short one.
okay.
So I don't know if you have any other personnel performance things that you need to discuss separately, but
Anybody? I don't have nothing right off the get-go. So you're looking at a 3-minuter?
yes, 3 minutes would be great.
I was standing at the door.
Take longer to make the motion.
Yes,
That's
it's
right.
Longer to walk to the door.
I move that we recess into executive session with the board, Tina and Brad, in order to discuss personnel performance for personnel matters and non-elected personnel pursuant to KSA 75-431-9B with, like I said, with the board for 3 minutes from 2:40 to 2:43. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Did you get a second?
Second by Jonah.
Okay. Okay, back in 3 minutes. Oh, oops, I didn't close that. Just
Are we
1
on?
second, not quite.
Okay.
All right, here it comes. Let's see.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, out of the short 3-minute executive sessions, no decisions, and we're going right back into executive session for something different for, I'll make my motion here in just a second, and we'll see for how long would your term be, Brad? 30?
We've got several of them, probably 15 minutes.
30? Did he say 30 minutes?
He said 15 because he's optimistic.
Oh.
Okay, 15 minutes. I move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss for consultation with our attorney for attorney-client privileges pursuant to KSA 75-431-9B with the board, Brad and Tina.
Specific Specific purpose being potential litigation matters.
Specific purpose being potential litigation. With the board, Brad and Tina, do I hear a second?
Second.
Oh, do you want Bryce in this?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Bryce. Bryce Bogle, if we can get him up here, he will be in this too.
Did you say 15 minutes?
15 minutes, yes.
2:45 to 3 o'clock.
2:45 to 3 o'clock.
Second.
All those, second by Jonah, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So
Could
was
you
that-
open the door, please?
Clarification. Yeah, we need clerk.
Yeah.
Okay, just, here we go.
What did you call it? 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
Well, I was optimistic with the 15, so I'll let you guys just call it. You probably, I would have said 5, but you better say 10.
I think it was 5, you just talked about it direct.
Who's gonna tell?
Yeah, let's keep it on one.
I don't know what everybody wants. I don't know what everybody wants.
We should.
This
All right.
conference will now be
It's on.
recorded.
Out of executive session, we're gonna go back, nothing decided, we're gonna go back in for 10 more minutes. Same thing again, same directive as with the, I put it up already. Get that out here. Potential litigation with our attorney-client. I move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss that pursuant to KSA 75-4319B with the board, Tina and Brad and Bryce. All those, second by Jonah, all those in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 5-0. 10 minutes.
Yeah, getting
Go.
everything
This
done.
conference will now be
There she is.
recorded.
Okay, out of executive session, no decisions, and we've got one other topic here to talk about that Brad had, you proposed some guidelines for open session, for meetings and open, who can come in.
Just
and who
created
can't.
created the policy consistent with the direction that I'd received some time ago. Prior to-
Before you start,
Yeah.
did Bryce have something else to wrap up?
Okay,
Yeah.
you said a question down there.
Oh.
And then you don't have to
yeah.
sit here for the public
Okay.
forum.
I noticed in the meeting minutes you were talking about, you noticed that some, or in whatever KDOT would offer
Right.
$50,000.
Right. Yeah.
What that is that's under the, I think that's a local bridge improvement program where they would give you $150,000 to replace a bridge, but they would give you the extra $50,000 if you if you closed another bridge.
Right.
We've looked in that several places,
Okay.
encountered a lot of resistance
Yeah.
from people to close those bridges.
Sure.
And that's the ultimate thing, but
Okay.
what they're looking for is, we wanna put the money out there to fix bridges, but if there's bridges out there that we don't
Yes.
want on the system, we can get
Yes.
rid of them.
Yeah, that was
So,
the point.
Yeah, that's where it comes from.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
essentially, you could have 200,000
Yes,
for that bridge,
For a bridge you want to replace.
but you gotta get rid of one.
Yeah.
Gotta get rid of
So
that.
then you could,
yeah, so,
Okay.
but like I said, that's the biggest thing, and, you know, that's the reason why they set it up, so.
Good.
Bryce,
Thanks.
is that 150 something that's somewhat automatic, or is it, as I assume, a limited fund so that? you
On the
have
local
apply?
bridge improvement program, that is the maximum, is $150,000. But what they're looking at doing is they look to try to get some of the smaller, out of the way bridges taken care of as compared to the bigger bridges.
So they're still going to have some element of pick and choose in that, correct?
As
Or
in,
like if you said, I've got 3 of them I want to have redone, I get 150 each, assuming we justify
no,
it.
that is an awarded,
That's why, okay.
yeah,
that's what I
awarded
thought.
amount of money every year. You apply for it just like everything else.
Yeah, that's
You
what I
get
was
it.
wondering.
Yeah,
Okay.
that'd be nice, because, man, that could really come in handy
Yeah.
all over
It-
places.
Or a slush fund of that sort.
Too
Bad
good.
way to say it, but that'd be great.
well, they just can't try to pass the infrastructure, so maybe we'll get some.
Yeah.
Get some bridge.
Might
And it
happen.
won't cost anybody any more taxes, that makes less than $400,000.
Okay, Bryce, thank you. We appreciate it. And I'm moving on here to cover one more subject, and that is what Brad had presented in your email to you today. And when I was going through it, I kept reading, and it gives us room to judge things. But what I don't like to see is exactly what Tina had to put up with today, is a name and then it says concern and not naming what the concern was.
Right.
I think that the public needs to know, and when we have an agenda, what the concern, it just right out to the side, says a concern, voting machines.
There should be
That
a
wouldn't have
topic.
been- Yeah, topic, could be on there, right, and I don't think, because I just, I just don't believe that's right, with it not being a topic pin on there or something. So that also applies to commissioners too. That seems to be maybe a way that certain people handle things, never bring the topic till it's right in the meeting, and that's so we can all.
What is the norm with something like that, Brad? I mean, in what you've seen in municipalities and counties, is citizen concern been handled as citizen concern without specifics?
No. I mean, initially, in many cases it is, but over time, because of the problems that it sometimes creates, and I don't know if I want to say innocently, but you know, the public doesn't necessarily know when they've crossed a certain boundary, and so they come in and you start the conversation. We get a little too far into it many times before you can stop it. And then that gives a wrong impression too, like we're censoring someone. Yeah. So most of them have developed something like, this is about as basic as I can do it, and then I can add to it. And in terms of the chairman's comment, that really gets into agenda setting and what you want to do in terms of parameters for what comes to Tina and what instructions she's giving. That can be a subset of this, although I usually would do that as a separate one. This was meant for public, well, we call it public comment, I call it public forum on this one. And it is not necessarily how do we get something on an agenda, what parameters do we follow in that particular circumstance, who has ultimate control over what is listed there, what kind of guidance is she given in terms of what, because basically these people come to her and she's really kind of obligated to say, okay, and I'm going to list it if that's, you know, you're a citizen of the area. We have not, as I can tell so far, given her some kind of tools to say, no, that's not how they do it. And that's also a policy creation of yours that you can have. This one was just because I was looking to address the general scope of someone says, I want to talk during public comment, like at the end. Okay. Do we have any other public comment? We do it 2 places now because of this. I do have an instructional format that Tina can place on there with the agenda. This is, you know, you will make that request in writing and you will submit it electronically in advance of the meeting, etc. And then we'll put you under public comment and call on you, as opposed to what we do is just say, hey, is there anybody out there, you know, who wants to do something? And again, I'm not trying to say that you have to unnecessarily limit people, but you really do need to have some control. You're not required to do this. I mean, let's start from that premise. Public comment is something that you choose. This is your meeting on behalf of the citizenry. You're elected into these positions. You serve as that fiduciary. This is a business meeting of yours, not a town hall where anybody comes in. If they want to stand up and say something, we're going to let them. That's not what this is. This is a business meeting. So we start from that premise, and then, you know, there's the Supreme Court's spoken to this in terms of a public forum and the categories of that in terms of traditional and limited or designated, those kinds of things in a public setting like a courthouse. So there are a lot of parameters out there. What I put in here is not an unreasonable set of requests or a constitutionally impermissible freedom of speech issue.
That's my issue.
Yeah, you know,
I don't want it to be ever misconstrued.
Yeah.
As an infringement.
Right.
On that right.
And again, I don't think that's generally in most of my settings in all these years with different governmental bodies. I've really not had any, other than, yes, there are times where people are like, oh gosh, I just assumed we never had to listen to that. I mean, that happens. That's just personal opinion. But everyone has some. If we grant that right, everyone has that same equal protection right to be heard. So then it just comes down to what kind of parameters would you like to place on that are not impermissible. Name and an address so we know, are we dealing with someone who has a vested interest in the county, or is it someone else? And do we make some differentiation, because it isn't the same 2 classes at that point. If this person who doesn't live in the county has land here, sure. I mean, there's a lot of reasons you have standing to come in and address you, and we generally hope they won't waste their time to come here unless they do have some particular skin in the game, if you will. So this is really just a starting point. You can do a lot more with this if you want, You can set specific limitations in here. We'll keep everyone to 5 minutes unless or 3 minutes or whatever, unless we expressly waive that in advance for everyone that's speaking that day, because we know it's going to be on a particularly hot topic. You have the ability to have them sign in advance with at least a short reference, and I think that kind of got to what you were saying on an agenda item. They're going to do that under public comment. You could have even, for example, taken something like Diane's comment and said, well, we'll do this under public comment, but you'll be limited to. Or she made a formal request in advance to be placed on an agenda. That then is your choice as to, well, okay, what kind of agenda items will we allow? And again, there's some things that we would put in place so that we're not, in an inappropriate way, restricting someone from coming in and raising an issue, because you can get into a problem there. So I separated this. What I call public forum I could change because of how we label it to public comment. I could provide that comment. I'm sure Tina probably has examples of it too, of what we could put on there in advance if someone thinks they want to speak up, but they're doing it not locally here where they're signing in physically and giving us that beforehand. Because most of the entities that I do this for, if it's to sign up in the room at the beginning of the meeting, which is when we cut it off, and they usually only have one, not two, the clerk or someone will go pick that up, give it to the chair, who will then read off, okay, we have 3 people who wish to speak today on the following topics. And then, there are times where I'm going to weigh in and say, need to know, are we looking at specific personnel, for example, or a matter that really we're not going to comment on related to litigation or other privileged communication or that kind of thing. So,
how's everyone commissioners feel on this topic today? I mean, did anybody want to know what we were going to talk about?
Yes. Now, I will say, and I see the differentiation. The comments or forum part should be short to the point. 5 minutes max.
Because it's a dynamic issue.
Yes.
Someone is coming in, it is not an item on the agenda, but it may have just come up, where they're going to walk in that day and they want to sign up for something.
Right.
It's a road issue that they just experienced, and they want you to know about it while you can go look at it right now.
It's a short thing. But at the same time, the concern that was brought up today, I thought was valid to be on the agenda because it was a more lengthy presentation. It was a topic.
It doesn't matter if you agree with it.
It doesn't matter if you agree with it or disagree with it, but it was a more lengthy concern about a specific presentation rather than a public comment. So I didn't have a problem with it, but I do want to see the topic.
Yeah.
Because everybody's blindsided.
Yeah.
It was going to be about, the clerk was going to be about the sheriff, was it going to be, just at least know, so we have a little,
And the
the
county
other
clerk is
side of the story.
not empowered statutorily to make the differentiation in a lot of what people come in and request on there. Basically, she's going to put it on there, and if she calls me and says, put it on there, because we don't have anything in place right now. Well, there's some limitations statutorily, but we don't have something like this to deal with. Okay, how do we establish, and that protocol is easy to put together, what will go on, whether it's at the request of an individual commissioner to the chair and or to the clerk, whether it's the chair, whether you empower the chair to go ahead and have final review on that, which I don't think you've ever done because you all are co-equal sitting on the bench, just someone is chairing the meeting. So there's things that we can do there to give a little bit of assistance for her. Otherwise, I think it's just kind of a carte blanche. If they come in and make the request, she kind of needs to put it on.
Is there a way that the board could just do a motion and a vote about requiring a topic if there's a?
Yeah, that's easy enough to do.
You could do that until you have
Something more.
I mean, if that's something you want to do, I think that's as simple as a motion and a vote.
Because this is not the
minutes.
only one, just in the time, there have been other ones.
Yeah.
Right, and having an actual topic.
Yes.
And again, there's a compelling business reason for you to be able to do that. 1, in terms of ascertaining time. 2, do we have any kind of a real issue with this? 3, preparation in advance. If it's something that you could do a little homework on, you can get further in a meeting on occasion, no different than staff. If you know what's on there because the commissioner put it on, it's nice to be able to have some idea what is it, so we can go and do a little research and say, like, what do you know about this? nothing right now. It's gonna take another week for me to come up with an answer for you.
And out of fairness, whatever staff, whatever
Yeah.
department it's affecting should be able to be present to at least hear it and then be able to respond or answer issues that are raised. It may not be at the same time, but
What about, you get into that where, okay, they say, you know, my citizen concern is taxes.
Yeah.
What specifically?
Yeah.
So is it viable to actually ask for, you know, a 10-word or more
And again, that's where the,
explanation on your topic?
Yes, that's where the policy comes in place, where I write that up and say, you know, a modicum of information or a minimum in terms of reasonableness for us to ascertain what, it's not so broad that we're just going, you know, the weather.
Yeah.
Well, you know, what about the weather? You know, those kinds of things.
Taxes or personal property tax.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why I say is it
Severed minerals.
10 words or
Right.
more explaining your topic.
Too high, too low? You know, I mean, it could be any number of
I think
things.
it has to be pretty specific, or you're gonna get nothing but, like you said, taxes.
And it's a very different situation when it's public comment, where you don't have to say anything except thank you.
Right.
We you know, understand, and we'll get back with you if there's anything we need to provide or
But
we
an
wish
agenda
to make it
item.
an agenda item. And then agenda items on occasion, it's not typically, I would also typically ask them, is this something that you are requesting action on? From the, I mean, is it just a general complaint, or is this something very specific? Need a speed sign at such and such a location, because we've had 3 accidents there in the last 6 months. And I find it to be, in terms of health, safety, welfare, a major concern of mine as a citizen.
Yeah.
That might,
We all can understand.
yeah, then you have the ability to say, okay, we may make a phone call beforehand to our sheriff and see what they have responded to out there, or we go by and look at it, you know, beforehand. So, bridges, someone comes in and says, we've got a concern about this or that. Or I don't like the fact that you are closing one, or you're, you know, my road isn't getting the right maintenance, or whatever. We've had those folks in here, and that's fine, as long as you have some idea what it's about.
Yeah, where?
Yeah, yeah.
We're just-
Somebody has some pictures of
Maintenance
that?
on such and such a road.
Yeah, yeah.
Between such and such.
I'd make the motion to allow county clerk to ask for agenda item, to ask for the topic to be put on with their name, and some sort of brief discussion of what the topic may be about.
Reasonable specificity so that you can understand.
Say
Reasonable
that, Randy.
specificity
There you go, Sheriff.
As long as Sharon.
to be able to determine what the topic is.
Brad?
I just did.
Oh, okay.
That's,
Okay.
I can,
This is how you get on his level. So moved.
I made that motion. Do I hear a second? Second by Jonah. All those in favor say aye.
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 never let her
Dave
broke into
Crowfoot?
that again.
Aye.
That's the only other
Five
person
oh.
out there.
I'd also make the motion to adjourn if no other business. Oh, wait, we got
No,
comments. We got public comments.
So we got nobody there.
Yep. Public
After
comments
that,
on
nothing
line?
else there.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Okay. Commission comments.
I am not gonna be able to be here Friday, so I have, for the canvas, so I have nominated Joe Ottensmeyer to sit in my seat, and she has accepted.
Good. Okay.
And Wednesday is the pod over at Hillsborough, and I can handle it.
Well, that's the day we're supposed to meet with the road and bridge.
Are we gonna meet?
1
with them?
o'clock.
1 o'clock. 1 o'clock.
I can come back for that.
Okay. Okay. And
Is
that's,
Bryce meeting with us?
On that meeting, that's, do you wish for me to be present, or is that a necessity? I'll need to do it if you need me to.
well, I don't know, I need to sit down and talk to Tina, so we got some sort of.
So, I guess somebody can let me know if there's more
Okay.
requests.
I kind of approach it more as a listening to it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking,
Yeah.
was sitting there and listening.
Okay. Do we need to explain what we've done?
I think we need to have, I told Tina that we might need a pay scale. in that
Comparative,
department.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just so we've got that in front of us to go and try to understand where they're coming from and where they went and what they're upset about.
Okay. It's out at the county lake, 1 o'clock. It'll be a public meeting with commissioners present, 1 o'clock Wednesday out at the county lake. Now, is there any other commission comments?
there's a Ducks Unlimited deal at County Lake I'd like to know about.
Well,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Who seconds?
Second.
Dave, the other seconds, all those in favor? Aye.
I'm
sorry.
I was just trying to figure out, catch up with you guys.
Two
Maybe
more
we
hours
need
to
a-
forget
have
about
an
it.
electronic
Parks, too.
calendar for the county lake that could be posted on the county website. Because it gets used all the time, but a lot of people don't know, oh, that's such and such a reunion, that's such and such, but you know.
Wasn't there a guy come on, said he wanted an electronic calendar just for us and everything else? Wasn't there a guy who said that? Wonder what he's doing about it. Do you know, Kim? Has he done anything?
I don't know where.
We have one, but nobody uses it.
Oh, really?
I didn't know if he dumped that in somebody's lap.